because in China it's really important. We can be neighbor very soon. Yeah, I think my staff will be quite jealous.
I left my body and then I came back. That was...
Tonight we will talk with Big. We all know them for their bold and ambitious projects.
Ni hao.
Hello Kai. Ni hao. Hello Kai. How are you?
Very, very good.
So yeah, Shenzhen is calling, and it's really a great pleasure to have you here with us. I think the entire city is very excited by all these international architects coming here, and yeah, I think the point of this discussion is to know you more, and also to know what you are thinking about the city. I would like to know more about your role in the company, your history. How long time have you been working there?
Of course, it goes back now about 16 years ago. I met Bjarke at the Venice Biennale of Architecture. And when we met, we established a friendship that then the next year, 15 years ago, I began working with Big and with Bjarke in Copenhagen. So I lived for 8 years in Copenhagen, working out of the office there. And then we grew to also include offices in New York, in London, and Barcelona. So we're 600 architects now, and I work out of the New York office.
Wow, 600, it's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you have some photo of your office, and maybe you can give us a tour, a virtual tour.
Of course. I think what one can see by entering the office and sort of looking around is an openness. We do not build walls. We have one floor on which all the 250 people are able to both sit, work, meet, and also eat. Eating is a very important part of our working environment, as I know it is in China as well.
Yes.
And so,
are you sleeping in office like in China also?
No, we actually the balance between work and life is very important, and so we really do also create a space for people to have their private life. Scandinavia is very well known for a welfare state and taking care of people, and they have very, very good maternity and paternity laws. So raising a family is also, we see, very important to a healthy life. But the office, I think, one that is looking for collaboration, people working across desks. We have a very large model shop that's in the center and the heart. So we build a lot of three-dimensional models. We keep all of the projects that we design on shelves so that you can see all of the work that has been done. And that's also for someone who just starts at Big to really learn from all of the work that's been done before. Because we don't want to just throw it into a storage space or into the basement. We really want the work that we do to continuously feed all of the creative thinking. And finally, at the other end and the other heart, there is also the kitchen. And we cater lunches, so people don't have to think about going out and finding lunch. They can just, every day, the food is prepared, it's out there, people can break from their work and have conversations that go beyond the workplace. And then on our rooftop garden, we actually can fit our entire office on the rooftop. And we have views of the New York skyline and Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah.
Yes,
it's a luck. It's a luck to work there.
Like I said, it's really a lifestyle, a culture that we want to create.
think my staff will be quite jealous. Okay. So where do these people come from? You will tell me everywhere in the world. I'm sure of that.
I know a few facts. We are coming from 35 different nationalities.
Wow.
And of course, many also from mainland China. Two of our partners actually are stemming, one from Shenzhen, Kat Huang, and then we have also Brian Yang is from Singapore originally. So we, even in the partnership, I think also represent different nationalities, which I think is very important. If you are going to work in China, you should also represent China throughout your organization.
Exactly. So when your office in Shenzhen?
You know, we are talking about. We would like to establish an office in mainland China. And we think Shenzhen is actually the right place. I would not be lying if I say that within the next 12, 18 months, we may have a Shenzhen office.
Wow, that's really good news. Hope we can be neighbor very soon. Yeah. Just one more question about HR. Do you have a global strategy, or how do you manage, to get new talent? Is it something global or more local?
It's interesting. So we receive probably, I would say, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 CVs and applications a month. And then, of course, we also are interested in recruiting very specific skills, looking for, in some cases, it could be a facade specialist that works in high-rise design. So people who have studied molecular biology previously in their life and then came to architecture have joined us, and they can speak about the scientific community for labs, and they give a lot of special knowledge, we also are no longer just architects. So we have also included landscape architects, engineers, interior space planning, and product design and planning. So we call it the Big Leap, LEAP. And the Big Leap is a kind of holistic approach to architecture.
How many projects are you dealing with in same time in office?
We are working globally, I would say, anywhere from sort of 30 to 40 projects actively. We have now built many cultural projects as well. And so these cultural projects are primarily from the Copenhagen office. And the Shenzhen Opera House, we consider it like the Sydney moment for Shenzhen. It's a chance for the city to show the kind of 40 years of development. And I would remind you that the Sydney Opera House was by a Danish architect.
Okay, on more conceptual way, I think the place we live are daily influences, and in our design. And so my question is how these two cities can dialogue, Copenhagen and Shenzhen.
I think a good example is the Danish pavilion we designed for the Shanghai World Expo. We in that building, we were trying to show how the Danish culture and the Chinese culture are actually in alignment and have a lot of touch points. I believe that H.C. Andersen's story of The Little Mermaid is read by every single Chinese primary student. We brought The Little Mermaid to Shanghai 10 years ago, and that was because we knew that she would touch every single Chinese. We also were celebrating the biking culture in Denmark. And of course, China has always had an incredible biking culture. And then I think there are also values of collective consciousness, of shared kind of values. that I also believe are something that are very shared between a Scandinavian sensibility and a Chinese sensibility. So we actually took our entire office in 2010 and brought them to the opening of the Shanghai Expo, so that
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
How many planes?
It was important for us that every single person in the office actually experienced China. So for 10 days, we took bullet trains. We traveled and ate every single meal. Sometimes we maybe ate 5 meals a day. We looked at historical temples. We looked at the new buildings like CCTV that had just finished, and of course the Olympic Stadium. So for us, we see a lot of touch points between our cultures and between our sensibilities.
Okay, so for the opera house, it's not the mermaid anymore, it's not the bike anymore. So what is the link you bring this time? Can you say something already?
Yes, I think it's to find an elegance for the performative arts. And I think if you look at Jorn Utzon in Sydney, he created an identity for a new nation. It was a young nation that was just starting out. And I think Shenzhen is a young city that is just starting out and is looking for ways to communicate its confidence. It's looking for ways to not only be considered a technology center or something one-dimensional. There are many facets, many dimensions to Shenzhen, and I think what we are looking to do is to add a facet, to add a layer, a deep layer to celebrate the cultural arts in the city.
Maybe we can leave a bit Copenhagen and talk a bit more about you. So I would like to know in which other cities you have been living and what kind of experience you had there and how it's inspire your design or influence your urban understanding in general.
I'm very much grounded in two cultures. I'm born in Europe. But I grew up in the United States and did my education here. Bjarke kind of calls me a kind of force of nature, where German thoroughness and American can-do-ness. So that ability to meld those two. And I think that architecturally, design-wise, I have also blended both design and looking at ways to look at how we can innovate and create new types of designs. But then also thinking about the craftsman, the building. I spent 2 years traveling around the world, working as a carpenter, as a stonemason, as a glass blower, so that I truly understood materials, because I wanted to be able to speak to the people on the job sites that were working with glass or working with stone. For me, it was important to be able to not only design, but to know what my designs and the lines I was putting on paper actually mean. How do those things then get built?
So when you I know you have been studying in Virginia and California, is that? And so at that time, what kind of designer or what kind of value or precept you had in your mind, and what kind of dream you were, following and defending at that time? And of course, the next question will be how, with all the experience you have been, accumulating, how this first dream turned to something different. Yeah.
Yes. So if you do look at my studies, the interesting thing there is they are both on the East Coast and the West Coast of the United States. And it's very different. And so by going to the University of Virginia, I was grounded, I think, very much in this belief of humanities, learning not only design, but learning about history, learning about culture and about writing, poetry writing, and these things were very important to the base foundation. Then I went to Los Angeles, very different philosophy, one that is kind of open, very Asian looking as well. And this was a design explosion. You could leave the humanities behind and just focus on the kind of investigations of materiality and of light and how daylight is moving through a building. That was an incredible balance to balance the East and West Coasts. And then I also went to school in Europe. I actually attended a glass blowing school in the forests of Sweden. And that's where my interest in learning more about materials really began. So, you know, when you have to blow glass, that's something that takes years to learn. And so you have to also work in a team of 2 or 3 or 5 people. So when you are no longer entirely able to do things yourself and you rely on other people, that's a really important lesson that is also about architecture and making buildings. But when you are able to work in a team and you're able to direct the design and you're able to communicate these things clearly, that's a really, really important lesson.
Let's move to Shenzhen now.
Yes.
So congratulations, you are one of the 6 finalists for the Shenzhen Opera House. Very basic question, why you decide to join this competition?
I think that every architect in their deepest hearts wishes and hopes for such a project. For us and for Bjarke in his deepest heart, for all of the partners and everyone that's working on the project, it's a lifetime project.
I understand that. But it's not your first project in Shenzhen, of course not. You have the tower already built, yeah?
Yes. So we've been working actively in Shenzhen for, I believe now 11 years.
Yeah.
We submitted our qualifications for the tower in 2009, and I think what that building does is it shows, again, you know, when I look across Shenzhen and all of the things that have been built, I sometimes feel that they have not always been respectful to Shenzhen. Shenzhen is a tropical climate. It's a city that when you come, it can be a kind of climactic experience, because the air in Shenzhen, it's not light, it's heavy. And
exactly.
So when you come into the airport and you hit that heavy air, it can be quite shocking. And so when you look at all of the glass skyscrapers, I think each and every glass skyscraper that's fully glazed is the wrong type of architecture in a tropical climate. First of all, you have to shield the building from the sun exposure so it doesn't overheat. So then all of the glass is very dark. Then you have to air condition the spaces inside, so you're spending a lot of money. Then because it's so dark inside, because you have to have all the shading, you have to have so much artificial light. And the artificial light is raising the temperature, so you have to use more air conditioning. And it's all a bad cycle. Our tower is trying to create a Shenzhen aesthetic, a Shenzhen tower, that is looking at where is the solar exposure, where's the sun. Let's not let the sun enter the building, and let's open up the building to the views where there is no direct sun. So the building is actually kind of parametrically changing and opening to where it's driven entirely by where it's located and its climactic kind of envelope, which I find very, very exciting.
I know you are coming in China quite often. So I would like to know, what is your feeling about and how you perceive the change of this country and maybe this city in 10 years? Did you notice some change? Is that something that have been
Yeah.
really surprising you last time you came, for example?
I think that what I've noticed and respect the greatest is this. It's wanting to create the framework for creativity and for kind of entrepreneurship. And more so than any other city that I've experienced in China, your future is not based on your last name. Your future is based on what you can do. And I think that is a quality that you also find in other regions that are very strong and very powerful. I'm also, when I think about the infrastructure, when I say that, one of the most impressing things for me was learning when we were there in 2010 was when a lot of the subway was being built. And it was a cut and cover operation. So they were literally tearing up streets that they had just built to place the subway, the metro in. And there was like 100 miles built in less than 10 years. And that vision, that ability to basically create and make is incredibly powerful. And, cities like New York, where I live, had the same drive. The initial subway was built in a very short period of time. The Empire State Building was built in 13 months. And from beginning to end, from concept to kind of like completion. And that drive, I feel, that energy I feel in Shenzhen.
To finish more or less this discussion, I would like to understand more effectively the notion of a city of future. And how is Shenzhen the future of the city or the city of the future? I don't know how we should put it in the right way.
I do think that Shenzhen has a lot of qualities that kind of make it the vision of the future. It's sometimes very subtle and you don't necessarily see it. And at other times it's in your face. William Gibson, who is an author that wrote Neuromancer, I think he said it very interestingly. He said that the future is all around us every single day. It's just not evenly distributed. And what he's saying is that we, are actually living in the future, but in very different ways in different locations. And so I think one of the things that is interesting for us as big architects coming to Shenzhen is that we have seen the future through various projects and through various clients. So we have the kind of global best practices and then local. One of those examples, we're working with Toyota, the Japanese car manufacturer, and they are about to make a major pivot. And they are investing a lot in autonomous vehicles that are driven by basically satellite kind of frequencies and robotics. So they have gone from, when Toyota actually was first created as a company, it was in textiles and it was making looms. And they manufactured after World War II all of the textile looms in all of Japan. Then they started building cars because they had the production line to create the loom. And now they realize that the car manufacturing is so one-dimensional and it's no longer about making a product, it's about creating a service. So if they can create cars that no one owns, but you just share, when you need a car, you go to your app, you call the car shows up and takes you where you need to. That is, we're helping Toyota develop an entirely new district at one of their factories based on autonomous kind of technology. And that's something that they've been working on for over 10 years. That's something that we can also bring to Shenzhen because there's a very strong desire to work with smart technologies and cities. So our Toyota woven city and seeing how this actually impacts the urban space that is something that we would like to bring to this project as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. I have one more question.
Sure.
And I think it's really interesting to have this dialogue. And I come back a little bit to New York. Shenzhen, it's mostly populated by migrants from all over China and the world. And I think in the history of New York, it was the same. So Shenzhen somehow just 40 years old. And of course, we have this identity starting to be strong and defined. But how to create a place, and also I'm coming back to the Opera House as a cultural place. How do you think we can bring diverse people all together to celebrate culture, to celebrate, life?
I think that there are certainly complexities because it's about value systems and what people value. But I think that what is also intrinsically human is that there is a kind of at the base a shared collective memory and also a shared kind of human principles. So if you can establish what those shared principles and what that collective kind of human kind of aspirations are, that is how you build the institutions. And Shenzhen is very much now about creating the first layer of institutions. I went to school in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles for a very long time was a very flat place. It did not have a skyline of buildings. It was all about, in a way, taking territory. And it was always urbanistically much more about creating a mosaic, a fabric, than it was about an identity or institutions. And then while I was in school, the skyline started to emerge, and museums started to be built. And so I think Shenzhen is very much in that same moment in its history, where it's going from something that was all about territorial kind of mapping to now, once the territory has been mapped, it's now about finding the pinpoints, the soul, the heart of the neighborhoods, of the districts, of the place. And this is, there's a big responsibility in the public officials, in the Shenzhen Design Planning Office, in the Shenzhen Public Works, in the Shenzhen Airport Authority, because you're creating the first kind of layer of foundations for these institutions. And so I think that's the responsibility that we feel in being a part of these projects in Shenzhen.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yes.
It was really nice talking to you, and I think it's effectively we have this really good connection, and so yeah, let me know next time you're in Shenzhen. We can maybe have a lunch or dinner or drink together. And maybe that will drive to my last question, because in China it's really important. So what is your favorite Chinese food?
Hey, it's Sichuan. I went to Chongqing my first time about 8 years ago, and I had sort of the hot pot famous for that region, and
yes.
I had an out-of-body experience. I left my body, and then I came back, and I was a hot mess. And then I remember the peppercorns having kind of numbed my entire head and my entire body as well. And I remember that so intensely, and I would say that remains one of my most incredible food experiences.
That's cool. So now I know where to invite you next time you're in Shenzhen.
Yes.
Here we have all kind of food, all kind of people. So it's really interesting. Again, thank you very much for your time. It was really a delight, a pleasure to be with you and discuss and know more about your idea and your experience and know more about yourself actually. So
thank you so much.
I think for all people here in Shenzhen and probably China, it will be very interesting. And thank you again, and thank you for waking up so early to talk to us.
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Ciao. Bye bye.